And remember, ooh, I wanna waka 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 tiki too too too. The boys are back, the boys are back, the boys are back, we're gonna do it again, we'll wake up the neighborhood. We're all in this together, once we know that we're all stars and we see that. And it goes a little bit like this. Ooh, I wanna waka 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 tiki too too too, waka 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 tiki too too too, waka 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 tiki too.
Hey, it's Vanessa Hudgens and Zac Efron here.
Our new movie, High School Musical 3 Senior Year, is about to graduate to the big screen.
But not without giving you, our biggest fans, an exclusive first look at the Wildcats' upcoming adventures.
It's a Disney Channel event that you won't want to miss.
High School Musical 3 Senior Year First Look happens on Sunday at 7:55, 6:55 Central.
Right here on Disney Channel.
What time is it? Time to celebrate the 10th anniversary of High School Musical.
Hi there guys, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel called Blast in the Past, and this time around I'll have a double feature. So it will be two consecutive sequels of the High School Musical franchise. So the second part from 2007 and the part number 3, Senior Year from 2008. And I decided to cover both of them at the same time in order to also not waste your time and to maximize my efforts. And like I said before, actually the first one, it's not the best outing in my books, in my opinion, but I will elaborate on that later on. So buckle up, get ready for a ride. You may want to grab some popcorn if you feel like it, and let's get the ball rolling, shall we? As always, let me start with my take on the whole franchise. So recently I have covered number 1, so this will be High School Musical from 2006, and it was a fine flick, a pretty decent musical, although it was a cable film, a made-for-TV production, but it was nice. And then right now I will be talking about the sequels, number 2 and 3. And I must say that actually the franchise keeps getting better and better in my books. There is more splendor, more panache, more grandeur. The budgets were increased significantly from 4 million initially, then in the sequel to $7 million, and then the budget exploded to $11 million because actually Senior Year, this one, number 3, it was a theatrical release and it grossed a lot because around $257 or $9 million on a $11 million budget. So you can imagine how big of a hit it was. Usually it is the case that the first parts of any franchise, they are the best, but in this case, number 1 introduced the characters, of course it set up the scene, the setting. In number 2 they go on holiday, but working holiday, because they have to work hard, at least most of the characters, unlike Sharpay, who was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. So there is this nice holiday atmosphere, the summertime, this great fantastic colorful vibe also throughout the whole narrative and the film. So I liked it a lot, and I think that this is the best one out of all 3 of them in my books. And number 3, it's more sentimental because this is the senior year, the last year of high school, just before going to university. In some cases maybe it's not so obvious, but also it features several recognizable songs, and I like that sentimental vibe. So I think that this was the right direction to go. It's not as good as the second one, but I think that it wraps up the whole trilogy very nicely, in a good way.
Why are you saying goodbye?
And maybe like it did happen with the American Pie franchise, they should come back to this one too after so many years. Like there was this number 4, the official one, American Pie Reunion, and it was very sentimental and nostalgic. So that would be a good mechanism for number 4, High School Musical, also a reunion. But we shall see what they come up with. I hope that maybe that would be a good idea. Like I said, time will tell.
I'm Stifler's mom.
Oh, I'm Jim's dad. American Reunion.
Let me now summarize the plots of the sequels. About the second one, High School Musical 2. School's out for summer and the East High Wildcats are ready to make it the time of their lives after landing jobs in a wealthy country club owned by Sharpay and Ryan's family. So that's why they don't have to work, especially Sharpay, because first of all she considers herself a lady, and secondly it's below her, I think, working for money to make a living. Oh come on, or to make some money on the side. She receives a lot of pocket money from her parents, I'm sure of it. So that's why probably she's so arrogant, because money changes people, doesn't it?
Not!
And the plot summary of High School Musical 3 Senior Year also featured on the IMDb website. As seniors in high school, Troy and Gabriella struggle with the idea of being separated from one another as college approaches. Along with the rest of the Wildcats, they stage a spring musical to address their experiences, hopes and fears about their future. Like I've mentioned before, number 3, the closure to the whole franchise, has a more sentimental, nostalgic vibe. So in some cases, maybe in terms of some of the audience, it could be even tear-jerking. But it is very emotional. It strikes the right chord in the audience, I would say so. So that's why it's a little bit different, but it wraps up the whole trilogy very nicely, in a good way, with a positive vibe on top of that. Although they are splitting apart, I think that it's not a problem to stay in touch even after you have graduated from school, and when you go on, when you continue with your life, your career, and you start studying at academia, at university, and even though you may be in completely different places right now with the use of different social media, I don't think it's a problem. But always, where there is a will, there is a way. Regarding the critical reception, I think that it goes a little bit against my opinion, because the first one fares the best out of the whole trilogy. On IMDb, it has around 5.5, the average rating. Number 2, around 5.2 out of 10. And last but not least, we have the third part, and it's 4.9 out of 10. But on Rotten Tomatoes, actually, all 3 of them are rated quite positively. The first one, it has the score of around 67%. The second one, a surprising 87% score. And I would agree with that, because to me it's the best take out of all 3 of them. And the last one, the closing chapter, around 64%. So still pretty decent, but worst out of the whole bunch, at least according to the Rotten Tomatoes aggregate, the website.
I've been so focused on my future.
In terms of the other information, the budgets were slowly increased, because the first one, it was a cable film made for TV production. The budget was $4 million, then it ballooned to $7 million, and then it was increased for a theatrical run, for a theatrical release, to $11 million, and like I said, it grossed in total around 257 or 9 millions. This is a great number, and it shows that there was a lot of potential in that franchise. Unfortunately, they have never decided to follow up on it, at least until now, as of this moment. But there was a spin-off about Sharpay, but it doesn't have good reviews. But what is worse, it doesn't have good comments either, because about the High School Musical franchise, most of the IMDb users do defend all 3 films in the comments section, that they give all 3 parts the rating of around 7-8 out of 10, and I would agree with it. The whole franchise doesn't deserve this bad reputation that actually it gets, and when you have a look at the scores only, it's a disaster. You know, barely 5 out of 10, come on, what are we even talking about? But in the comments section, people really defend this film, and they show their appreciation and love towards the whole franchise. For many of them, that was perhaps also their childhood or their teenage years, which would have been also the case with me if I had seen them at that time when I was a teenager attending high school. But only recently have I decided to give them a go, and I really do not regret it, especially number 2.
Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure on Blu-ray and DVD.
Because it has this great Hawaiian song, it's so catchy. I was surprised that there was such a big leap in quality in terms of my reception. And number 3, I like when the films are touching and moving, and since I had already developed some attachment to the characters, number 3 hit the right spot in my heart. And that's a shame that, like I said, the franchise has not been continued in a good manner, in a proper way yet. But never say never. It may always happen that there will be high school reunion after over 15 years with the original cast. We shall see.
Never.
In the sequel, there's a nice musical sequence, but for some reason it was deleted from the original run, but it was restored on the Blu-ray version, and thanks to that we may enjoy it. And actually the funniest bit is that, to me, this is probably the best song in the whole second part of the franchise. Hands down, really. And it goes a little bit like this. Ooh, I wanna waka 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 tiki too too too, waka 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 tiki too too too, waka 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 tiki too. Yeah, another musical beat from me, because after all it's a high school musical. I may not be in high school anymore, but still I have good memories from that period. So that was something, and that's a shame that actually they removed the song, but on the other hand, they brought it back for the Blu-ray release, this one and generally. So this is great, because like I said, it's a very memorable song, and it's a very great composition. And the atmosphere is pretty wacky, because the main character is caught completely off guard, by surprise. And this Hawaiian theme, so this is something crazy, this is something wacky. Maybe that's why it was removed in the first place. I don't know. But the song is great, so who I wanna waka 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 tiki too too too. Right now it seems that since I'm already done with the franchise, the High School Musical trilogy, and I don't have access to this individual spin-off Sharpay's film, maybe I should give a good old Hannah Montana a go, a whirl, because I have this one actually also both on the Blu-ray format and the good old DVD. Oh, why not? I've never been a huge fan of Hannah Montana, but before I was never a huge fan of Hilary Duff either, because I never had a chance to watch Lizzie McGuire in its entirety, at least, but I knew the phenomenon. But actually several films starring Hilary Duff were really good.
Hannah Montana, the movie.
Really great, like the modern take on the Cinderella story, or for example In Your Voice. That was also a good film which I actually have reviewed. So why not, just for fun, for the kicks of it, to stay in this nostalgic childhood / teenage period atmosphere. Maybe this is the right choice. We'll see.
Raise your voice.
In terms of the soundtrack and the music, as you can imagine, it's a staple in every musical, at least it should be, and there are memorable songs in those two ones as well. In the first one we had that song "We All in This Together." As you remember, I sang it in my previous review. We all in this together. Once we know that we all stars, and we see that. And in the second one you have this Hawaiian song. Ooh, I wanna waka 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 tiki too too too. And in number 3 you have a completely different song, Boys Are Back, I think it's called like that. It features a completely different vibe, but it also is very catchy. But it's a little bit out of the box. It sounds very modern and it doesn't stick with the rest of them, but somehow it is an earworm because it goes like this a little bit. Like I said, it has this modern, maybe a little bit of electronic vibe, and it was probably modeled after the Backstreet Boys band, because it's the boys are back, the boys are back, the boys are back, we're gonna do it again, we'll wake up the neighborhood. So it has a completely different vibe, the tune is completely not in touch with the previous one, but somehow it fits the narrative. So there's this special moment when two characters, Zac Efron's character, Troy Bolton, and his best friend, they bust a move on a scrapyard, and there is this modern music played in the background. This is something different, yet it somehow fits. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. This is great. So there is a big variety in the soundtrack, and all three of them are worth recommending on the merits of the songs alone, that's for sure. And of course, number 3 is wrapped up with the song We're All in This Together. And this is a great closure to the whole film. Pretty sentimental, could be tear-jerking, but this is the way it is. You just have to say goodbye to the old times and welcome what is coming, what is in your way, what is in front of you with the open arms, and just face the next challenges in your life. Take a step forward, as they say, into the adulthood. There is a piece of trivia regarding the deleted scene shown on the screen, which is featured in the second part in High School Musical 2, but only on the home edition. So the Blu-ray, the DVD, it wasn't originally featured in the film for some reason. And here it goes. In the DVD/Blu-ray and Disney Plus extended version, it features Mr. Fulton making Troy late for his date with Gabriella by taking him to a set where Sharpay and Ryan sing their Hawaiian song, but in the Disney Channel version, it doesn't feature it. After the part where Gabriella and Taylor talk, it just shows Troy going to the locker room to take his clothes off to go swimming with Gabriella. And like I said, to me, this is the best song out of the whole bunch in the sequel, the first sequel, in number 2. It's so catchy, it's so great, and it has this Hawaiian vibe. Really, you can feel the summertime atmosphere oozing out of the screen. So it is a bit wacky, a bit crazy, definitely out of the box. But Troy's facial expression during this whole thing, what is going on in front of him, this is fantastic because he's so flabbergasted, he can't believe in what is going on, what is happening, and probably I would be feeling just like him if I were in his shoes. If I were him, because this is something even cringy. Just have a look at his priceless facial expression, what he looks like. Flabbergasted is not enough. Shocked also, perhaps. So this is what I call mixed feelings. And maybe Sharpay was also having the hots for Troy. I don't know, but maybe she wanted to have this boy also for her. Because she had a very high opinion of herself, so probably in her mind she could have whomever she wanted to. So why not Troy?
It's out with the old.
Also regarding the pieces of trivia on the second film, High School Musical 2, unlike the first film, where Zac Efron was dubbed partially by Drew Seeley, in this case he does all of his singing in this film on his own, and this is great because his singing voice is also fine. So maybe he was feeling a bit sheepish in the first one, or maybe that was a direct order from the producers to dub him, but later on he sings in his own voice, and this is great because this is about authenticity. So how are you supposed to believe the characters in what is going on if allegedly it can be even noticed, it can be even heard that the voice changes in the first part a little bit when he's dubbed by Drew Seeley. But props to Zac Efron that he decided to give it a go, and he did it pretty successfully in 2 remaining parts of the franchise.
Hey man, how's it going?
Regarding Zac Efron's physique in the sequel, High School Musical 2, here we have one of the scenes on the screen in which he presents his body, he's shirtless. The first one is in a swimming pool with Vanessa Hudgens. And in here he's playing basketball on his own, just shooting some hoops for a good measure, for practicing, or maybe to relax. And even in this case you can see that maybe he is a little bit chunkier if you compare his physique in the sequel with the original outing, but he's 1 year older also, you have to bear that in mind. But he's still very shredded, so lean. The muscle tissue, maybe he's not that muscular, it's not exactly there, but you can clearly see the visible abs. I don't know how much you can see from this distance, but trust me, the abdominal muscles are well defined, chiseled and visible. And also he had those special side muscles, the dents, let's say, in the sides of the stomach. So it's a sign of a very ripped physique. and this must be a very low percent of body fat in his body. That's why his physique looks even more impressive. Although he may not be a very bulky guy with bulging great muscles, sometimes if you are conditioned enough it alone to make a very good impression and to look impressive, and this is the case with Zac Efron in the sequel. In the third part I don't recall any moments of this sort, so it's hard to judge his physique. But later on, in terms of the further development of his career, so you know what kind of transformation he has been undergoing ever since. And right now in the Iron Claw, this wrestling drama, which is supposed to be released this year, 2023, he looks as strong as an ox.
Mom tried to protect us with God.
He may not have the widest frame in terms of his shoulders, the collarbone, but his proportions are really good if you compare the shoulders to the waist ratio, the proportions. That's why his physique is very pleasing to the eye, and in the Iron Claw, that new film, so he packed as much muscle as he could probably, considering the limitations of his frame, and this is very impressive. Juice or no juice, it doesn't matter. On supplements or no supplements, it doesn't matter, because it takes a lot of effort and dedication and good diet on top of that and good training regime, so he had to put a lot of effort and a lot of heart into building his physique. So props to Zac Efron, because in this regard he could be considered a role model and somebody to look up to in terms of the physique.
Morning.
Pants tomorrow, please.
So before it was a natural type, a leaner one, and right now it's a typical strong athlete, almost like a bodybuilder, but again not an open bodybuilder because of the limitations of his frame, the skeleton, the structure of his body, and this is just the way it is. So even no amounts of juice would make him as big as, for example, The Rock. And you had an obvious comparison between those two actors, between the two physiques in the new Baywatch film, the new one. I mean from 2017, but it was a new version of the good old 90s show, starring the legendary David Hasselhoff. So once again, chapeau to Zac Efron. Keep up the good work, at the gym and outside of it.
Your job is to wrestle. Live up to that deal, or we are through.
In terms of the picture quality of the Blu-ray releases, especially of the number 2 and 3, and number 2, the final ending sequence is featured on the screen, I think it's great. It just keeps getting better and better with every outing, with every individual franchise. So the apex of the picture quality is in number 3, but even in number 2, the colors are very true, very vibrant, they ooze out of the screen. You can feel the summer atmosphere, and the setting helps a lot, even in the swimming pool scene, the sequence. This is great. So this is what I'm talking about when I have in mind the HD quality, the good picture quality in terms of the Blu-ray format. This is the way any film released on this format should look like, that's for sure. So it may not be the benchmark in terms of the picture quality for Blu-ray, but it's more than serviceable. It delivers all it's supposed to deliver and even a tad more. So I have no major complaints. Whether it's pristine, immaculate, I don't know, but it looks as good as it gets probably, and as it ever will, unless we receive sooner or later the 4K release.
High School Musical 3 Deluxe Extended Edition, rated G, available tomorrow.
Regarding some more pieces of trivia featured on the IMDb website and Zac Efron's hairstyle in the sequel, I mean the second one, number 2, so here it goes. Zac Efron wanted to have a different haircut than the previous film to display the growth of the character. However, executive producers shot this down, fearing audiences wouldn't recognize Troy Bolton without his signature bangs, which are featured in here. This hairstyle, I know that this kind of hairstyle is used very often in Hollywood in order to make the characters look younger. For example, I remember the TV series Dexter. So maybe it's a bit off topic, but when they showed him when he was a teenager or pretty young, Michael C. Hall, his character, so he had dental braces and also this kind of a hairstyle. And it works a little bit up to a point, that's for sure. But Zac Efron, now he's rid of that old hairstyle and he has a completely different hairdo, like in Baywatch, for example. And I think that it serves him well, that's for sure, because he has grown, he has matured in terms of his physique, in terms of his career and personality. So I wish the guy all the best. Apparently today is the hair day because there is another piece of information regarding Zac Efron and his hairdo. And according to the IMDb website, Zac Efron, soon after the first film, dyed his hair from a natural blonde to brunette for the second and third films without any of the cast noticing. The script offers no such explanation. Oh, sometimes in Hollywood it is what it is. This is the Hollywood magic in this industry. So things happen without any reason, without any explanation. Sometimes a cast member may be replaced and nobody notices it. Everybody seems to be oblivious to that change. And sometimes if there is a small hint, it's made in a jocular manner that the character has changed. I mean the actor. The actor has changed, has been replaced by some other one. But in this case, I don't think that anybody really noticed, unless somebody is very perceptive and very nitpicky at the same time. But like I said, so this is the magic of the Hollywood business, isn't it?
Whatever happens, as long as we're together, it's cool, right?
As always, thank you very much for your attention, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed my review of the sequels, number 2 and 3 of the High School Musical franchise. Now you know my opinion, my take on the whole trilogy and which one is the best in my opinion. So that would be number 2. And then number 3, I think that I liked the first part actually the least. But it's still a decent film. A nice musical. I can't wait to hear back from you guys what you think about the High School Musical franchise, Zac Efron, Vanessa Hudgens, the development of their careers, and if you would like to see another sequel after so many years since the last part, since 2008, so it's been quite some time right now. Would you like maybe to see the old characters come back, the old cast? And also please like this video if you really have enjoyed it, and if you are not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to it. And I really hope to see you guys next time. Maybe if they decide to release number 4 after so many years, so I'll have a chance to review it too. Anyhow, thank you for your attention, and as always, take care. Bye bye. And remember, ooh, I wanna waka 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 tiki too too too. And maybe